Con Festival. My name's Action Jackson, with me is Fuji, and today we're going to be watching ROX Armada, the 2016 Vainglory World Champions from Korea, try and fight 5 of the best teams from North America. Fuji, today is going to be awesome.
It's going to be so hype, Action Jackson. Not only do we get to see a clash of regions, but it's NA's kind of home turf trying to defend against the world champions today. It's a long road for ROX Armada, but these teams are up to the task.
They are indeed. We've got, our Unified Live Championship winner in Spring, Cloud9 from the Western scene is going to be here as our final opponent if ROX can make it all the way. But we've also got 4 other excellent North American teams playing. And ROX Armada, they've got a lot on the line here. They were just acquired, formerly Invincible Armada, when they actually won that World Championship last year. It's going to be a very interesting day of games. We are, of course, playing on update 2.5 still. So the meta is a little bit more known. We maybe know what to expect here from at least, especially the Korean teams, right? We know we're going to see a lot of aggression.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of just the intensity coming out of ROX Armada and what they're trying to accomplish today is essentially just making the statement that, the gap is still very wide between Korea and North America, that they are still the powerhouse team. They are still the world champions, and they're going to be here today testing their mettle against what I would say is a much stronger region than what we saw at the end of 2016. So it's going to be an exciting day.
It really is. I'm very excited to see how things goes. Let's have a look at the Amazon Fire Gauntlet format brought to you here with the prize pool. You can see each match the teams win will net them $3,000. ROX Armada will be going up against Tempo Storm first, then the winner against Tribe Gaming, the winner against Gangstars, and so on through NRG and Cloud9.
I think the most exciting thing here, aside from pride for ROX, is the fact that if they sweep this entire tournament, they don't just get to walk home with the trophy. They get to walk home with a pretty nice cash prize in their pocket as well. So an exciting time for them to be visiting North America. I can't wait, Jackson. I'm ready to get into this.
It's going to be very exciting. And speaking more about this first matchup, ROX Armada versus Tempo Storm. Obviously, ROX Armada, for those people who don't know, you've got to realize this is a team that everyone was hugely afraid of last year. They were practically undefeated as they moved into the World Championship, and they went undefeated in the series. They're actually taking home the entire thing. Tempo Storm, on the other hand, was a dark horse, back before. So let's see how ROX Armada puts the fear into all these teams.
I think it would mean a lot to take down Armada.
They're extremely talented players, extremely mechanically skilled players.
They're just like this kind of perfect team.
They have shown that they're basically invincible.
It seems like their team is really unstoppable.
Beating them would almost mean that we're world champions, I guess.
Well, the World Championships later on this year, but certainly it would be a huge statement and really set the tone for the summer season. Either way, this is actually going to do that because this is an opportunity. We saw North America and their meta really elevate after the World Championship last year as they sort of realized what the things were that ROX Armada were doing so well. We might see that again as we head into the Vainglory 8 summer season, coming up actually this weekend after the Mobile Masters finishes.
Yeah, I definitely think that's some of the most humble we've ever seen any of the North American players. I think before going into Worlds last year, the region thought they were just going to come in and crush it. There was an understanding that Korea would be strong, but there's so much respect giving to the fact that ROX has defined the meta and North America has brought that back. I'm excited to see if we're going to see some shakeups today, a little bit of change in the meta.
All right, and here comes ROX Armada walking onto the stage now. The former world champions from 2016 in Vainglory. This is the team everyone knows about and is afraid of in the scene. They do have a new member on their lineup, so they are showing a little bit of a different roster from the World Championship. But again, the Druid, really a massive all-star name that you have to be afraid of.
Yeah, we definitely have to talk about that just a little bit. The fact that Ingenious is coming in, replacing formerly Willie for the team, an all-star during Worlds, and being in this captain position, being the backbone of the team, it's an important responsibility. But if Druid and Mango picked him up, you have to know they've got faith in this guy, and this is his first live performance, so he's here to show us all what he's made of.
Yeah, that's got to be pretty interesting coming over to North America for your first ever live performance as a pro player on a team that won the World Championship. That's a huge thing. But Druid, this guy, I want to talk about him a little bit more. Very strong player. He's actually known for playing with a stylus, which is a little bit different from most players. Let's hear from him now about the pressure of facing those North American teams.
나오는 팀들이 모두 강력한 팀들이기 때문에 충분히 압박감을 느끼고 있고요. 그렇지만 저희가 열심히 준비를 했기 때문에 그 압박감을 이겨내고 충분히 이길 수 있을 거라고 생각하고 있습니다.
All right, Druid thinks he's well prepared. I got to imagine that they are. They've been playing, of course, over in the East Asian Vainglory 8 and doing quite well there, so they are definitely on form still. It's not like they've been taking a break since the World Championship.
I think one of the important things to notice about this team as well is that they never rest on their accolades, right? Once they've won, once they've done the best they can do, they know they can't just relax. They know the next tournament is just around the corner in the future. So these guys are always prepared, always digging in. And as many would say, probably the sweatiest team in the world right now.
Yeah, very, very strong. They're going to be playing up against Tempo Storm. This team was a new addition to the Vainglory 8 in the second split of the spring season, but they managed to make it all the way to the Unified Live Championships shortly thereafter. Tempo Storm does have some big names on the lineup as well. Lost Boytoff got to be one that really stands out, as he, of course, was in the finals of the first ever Vainglory Championship in North America. He managed to come second in that event, I believe, but very, very strong performance, very, very strong captain for his team.
And this team, they're looking for a little bit of redemption as well. Yes, they were the dark horse. They came from challengers into the VG8, made it all the way to the Unified Championships, but came up short when they lost against Gangstars in the first day. So they want to come on stage. They want to show they are a team to be reckoned with, and Lost Boy is going to be that backbone if they're going to do it.
And to their advantage, right? Like, there is not a huge amount of footage on this lineup compared to someone like ROX Armada. Like, obviously, you know, ROX, you know what to expect. You expect aggression, even with a new member on their lineup. With Tempo Storm, they only played in 3 weeks of the split, coming into the spring season rather, and then they also only played on day 1 of the championship. So really, they've had an opportunity to go away here, practice up, and try and set something going here.
I mean, there's something to be said about a lack of footage, but at the same time, if there isn't any, does that mean you pull out new strategies? Does that mean that you come in today with a wild card just to take ROX out? We'll have to see if they stick to their guns, the picks we know them for, or if something completely new is going to happen at Mobile Masters.
Yeah, it's interesting. And also, this is a best-of-1 tournament. Like, if you win one game, that's all you need to take down ROX Armada here. And Tempo Storm, this is a team that could come up with kind of a glass cannon strategy, right? You know, you fire it once and it shatters, but at least you did the damage in that one attack.
Yeah, I do agree. And we have to actually think about this a little bit because ROX, they're so strategic, they're so thoughtful, they're so mindful about the game. Will they have the flexibility to go against some kind of weird stylistic comp that Tempo might have been preparing?
Absolutely. And Tempo Storm, they might be underdogs, but they certainly feel like they could go all the way here. Let's talk to Lost Boytoff real quick.
I think we're kind of like the underdogs right now. We try to make decisions to be aggressive in the jungle. In lane, like, I know Selena is really like a talented laner. Hyde is a crazy jungler who likes to be aggressive, and I just kind of follow up with that. I think we still need to work on some things. Like taking risks, I think we need to do that more instead of just trying to play passive. I think that's what really makes us like go down. But if we're able to make those risky decisions and like commit as a team, I think we could definitely like make it to the top.
All right, Fuji, you've heard from Lost Boytoff here. He thinks he could make it to the top, but they've got some things to iron out. Knowing what you know about Tempo Storm as sort of an analyst in the North American scene, what do you think is their chances here? How can they maybe edge their way into the match?
I think it starts off just with the mental game. They might have prepared something, but coming in, going up against such a mountain that is ROX Armada, you have to just let the nerves settle. The first few minutes of the game are going to be so critical. Because if ROX takes the lead, they're known for just expanding, continuing to grow the gold lead. You cannot let them have that early aggression turn out successfully. So you got to shut it down. So I would expect them to be thinking about how do we do this throughout the first 2 to 3 minutes of the game.
So obviously we're playing on update 2.5. At the Unified Live Championship, we did see a decent amount of early aggression coming in from the North American teams. Do you think that's going to hold a torch to what we will see from ROX Armada here? Like, how are they going to play on this update?
It's kind of one of those things that, yes, North America has been doing this, but at the same time, Mango kind of invented it, right? So it's like you're going back to the guy that essentially said, here's how you play in jungle in the first few minutes of the game. Here's how you take advantage of that aggression. So we'll have to see, can they step up to the plate? Is Mango still the king? Or is this dynasty falling today?
I'm curious to see as well if they're going to pick up any Koshka, because that hero was the story of Worlds 2016. It came in, Team Solo Mid, I believe, first picked it in one of the games, and all of us were sitting back like, wow, that seems very early to pick a Koshka. But it was just that strong, and honestly, then Phoenix Armada, but now ROX Armada, were the team that really pioneered how aggressive you can be on that card.
I definitely agree, but at the same time, we do have new heroes in the fold that were not around during Worlds, such as Grumpjaw and Batiste, and these heroes deal very well with that early aggression from Koshka. So if the meta over in East Asia hasn't changed enough, North America might actually have some good counters to that early.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Batiste especially is really difficult for Koshka to play into because of Ordained. Very strong ability for shutting down those gap closers that she wants to use to stick on top of targets. Tempo Storm, what have we seen from them in the past that can kind of set our expectations here? I know, for example, that Hyde plays a lot of Kestrel. Lost Boytov used to, at the very least, be known for an amazing Finn and Arden. So, I mean, there's definitely signature heroes that if ROX has done their homework on the individual players especially, they're going to have knowledge on.
This is going to actually be quite interesting because Kestrel, Glaive, two of the go-to picks for Hyde on Tempo Storm, are no longer considered S-tier top meta junglers in the sense that you just pick them no matter what in every scenario. So he's going to have to flex. But I love the playstyle from this guy. He barely builds any defense. He knows it's all in. We're going to get the kills or we're going to die trying. So he's going to be the player to watch easily for the side of Tempo.
Yeah, and if you look towards the lane, we haven't talked about them in this bit yet, but Druid is someone that I'm interested to see how Selena performs against. Because honestly, Druid, everyone knows this guy. He's an absolute monster. His CS is crazy. Until a couple of days ago on VGPro.gg, he had an 100% win rate on B-side over like 100 games. That's absolutely obscene. That's ridiculous. So, I mean, really, Druid is the final boss of Vainglory, and he's playing here in the first match.
I mean, it's one of the things that actually elevated him to popularity to begin with, is just his efficiency of last hitting, but not just being able to do that, knowing when to be in lane, when to push, when to stall, when to rotate. Like, he just has the strategic element down, and on top of it, he is incredibly mechanically gifted, and he does it with that stylus we talked about, the only player right now to be wielding that sword, so pretty cool guy.
I find actually that to be one of the most interesting things. I mean, lots of people play Vainglory different ways. It's on a tablet, so you can use your thumbs, you could use your fingers, but this guy uses one hand and a stylus, right? Like, or does he use two styluses?
Yeah, he just uses one.
Just one stylus.
I don't think he's dual wielding yet. Maybe
that'd be pretty interesting. Maybe that's like the next evolution of Druid play. It's possible.
It could be.
But you know, looking at his opponent in the lane, Selena, he's going to have his work cut out for him because you can't really just sit back and farm because Druid's kind of proven at this point he's always going to outdo you in that sense.
Yeah.
So is he just relying on his teammates to rotate up and try and kill Druid? Do you think it would make more sense for him to rotate down and try and maybe kill Mango too?
Well, that's part of the benefit I think ROX has coming into this is they're just playing their game, and what Tempo has to do, and Selena specifically, is he has to think, okay, I can't get out farmed in lane. I have to be able to reach my item power spikes, but when do I buy? Like, when is Druid going to go back? When is Mango going to try to gank me? I don't know, guys. Let's come up the lane. Let's try to strat. And by the time you start doing this, panic mode can set in, so they really need to have the game plan ahead of time. They can't be reactionary. You can't be afraid of the people across the room from you. You have to set the pace, be the first mover. We'll see if Tempo can do it.
Yeah, they've really got to come up with a strategy here. If you had to sort of theory craft ways on 2.5 where you can attack an aggressive team, what would you go to?
I definitely think it's one of these things where you want to just make sure you don't draft too passively. You cannot get a composition that can be easily forced out of your jungle. You cannot get a composition that has low rotation priority. So you need to get a comfort pick, but you also need to get on something that has rotational power, like a Samuel that can come up to lane. If you think you're going to lose the jungle against Mango, focus on where your win condition is going to be.
Yeah, that is a very good point, actually. And Druid, I wonder what sort of heroes we're going to see him play in this tournament, because he's definitely a playmaker as well as being a steady farmer. You know, he tends to pick the heroes that can run in and do a lot by themselves if he has the opportunity to. We were joking yesterday, we wouldn't expect to see him saw, right? So it's interesting. I do think that on this update, he's actually very well positioned with things like Vox being quite powerful.
Yeah, I mean, Vox is extremely powerful this update. In fact, some of the builds that people are prioritizing now on Vox did come from Druid, kind of tinkering around a little bit. So we see some of these item pickups that came through when Poison Shiv got a buff in the recent patch, that this is something that just made Vox powerful again. And one little tiny tweak, one little change for somebody who is known for his Vox play could be all that it takes for them to just run through the entire gauntlet.
It's a very good point. Now let's talk about the captains as well. Lost Boytov, this is a guy I remember very fondly from autumn of the first ever Vainglory Championship, just making some absolutely insane plays, 1 versus 2, using things like the turret and the Kraken, Goldmine to help him actually kill enemy players. But against Ingenious, I'm not sure I know where he actually stands here, because Ingenious, we don't know this player very well. He's not Willie, who was on the lineup at Worlds. Who knows what he's going to bring to the table?
I definitely think the amount of respect going to Ingenious, though, is going to be pretty high. I mean, when you look at Lost Boy, he has a great track record. He's been in Vainglory almost, actually since the very beginning and some of the earliest competitive play. So there's an expectation for his performance that people are going to have coming into this tournament. But for Ingenious, you just have to come in with an expectation of respect. People didn't do that quite during Worlds last year against their captain when Willie came in, so they can't make the same mistake right now. Ingenious could be just as good.
Willie was actually a fairly new addition to the lineup even back then, if I recall correctly.
He was a new addition, and it was his first time. So maybe this is a good trend for ROX Armada.
They're just keeping the same dream alive.
Just keep it rolling.
All right, so we are getting ready for the draft, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk a little bit more in general about 2.5 and what sort of picks have really proven themselves over the course of the update to be very strong, because it's important to understand the baseline before we think about what ways teams might try and break it in this last chance opportunity before we head on to 2.6 quite soon.
Yeah, I definitely think we'll see quite a bit of priority on Grumpjaw. I think Batiste definitely made a step up as well as the season kind of went longer. We haven't gotten a lot of saturation with pro teams on this patch because we are kind of moving between tournaments and a little bit of an off season, if you will. But that's exciting because we have seen scrims starting to pick up again. They're getting ready for summer season. So a lot of the stuff that's going to be happening this weekend, today is going to be a preview.
All right, we're into the draft for the first game here between ROX Armada, the reigning Vainglory World Champions, and Tempo Storm from North America here. Can Tempo Storm create the upset? If they were to do this in game one, that would shake everything up, because it would mean every team who's probably realistically prepared for ROX Armada suddenly does not know where they stand.
They don't know where they stand, and we did talk right away about the Grumpjaw priority, and ROX thankfully agrees a little bit. They're saying no Grumpjaw for you guys. So I like the fact, because North America does utilize this so much, if it's something that ROX didn't have in their arsenal, they go ahead and take it off. I think A-side ban is very smart for Grumpjaw as well, but they are perhaps more interestingly, we see a Ringo ban coming from Tempo Storm, not a hero that has many bans against him.
Wow, Baron first pick. That's actually pretty interesting. Baron is kind of the inverse of what most people think of when they think of an early game hero. We have seen it work. Teams like Hammers in North America have actually won games in like 15 or less minutes, I think 11 minutes at one point with that Baron, but it's not the norm. And when you're thinking of ROX Armada, a very aggressive team, it's not a pick that jumps to mind. Now, Tempo Storm, they're gonna be locking in Vox. This can probably do quite well against it in the lane.
It definitely can. Vox has power spikes against Baron throughout the game. He can do well into him early, well into him after mid, but once it gets to late, Baron actually ends up taking over. And I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see ROX opt for a tension bow build on this Baron to kind of close that gap on early game aggression. It's going to be pretty important for Tempo Storm to find ways to dive that hero, though. Cutting out Koshka does limit that option, but Taka is still available. That's a really good pick into Baron. Not something you'd want to pick this early, but something they could consider. But ROX puts a Lyra ban out there.
It's notable that Koshka was actually the pick working with Baron when Hammers made those early game victories with it. So I like that Tempo Storm actually has the evidence in their own region to know what to do when that Baron first pick comes out. Lance does get locked in by Tempo Storm, and quickly Glaive and Blackfeather go the way of ROX Armada.
Yeah, I mean, this is most likely going to be a Captain Glaive looking for pick potential, which means Mango probably on a CP Blackfeather coming out of the jungle. So a very different stylistic comp we're seeing from ROX. Not something I would have expected in game one, but I like it. It's a little spicy, a little different than perhaps what we had anticipated. And Tempo Storm trying to figure out what to do with this pick. Probably something they weren't quite anticipating as well.
Yeah, Tempo Storm, they're going to have to take their time and think about this. Obviously, the Lance can be quite nice into the Glaive, for example, but Blackfeather has so many jump forwards that you're not really going to be able to by yourself just deal with him. So the question is, what do they want to add to the lineup that can actually keep Vox in a good position to fight? Or maybe, I mean, maybe they even go for like a weapon power Vox and they spend a lot of time diving on the Baron in the back line.
I still actually think Taka could potentially be a really good pickup here, simply because it is Blackfeather. Your damage is not going to be consistent. So if Chitin, the mechanics are there, you can avoid afterburns, you can get to the back line and cause some problems. But they actually go with the Kestrel, so this is more of the comfort pick we talked about, most likely going to hide. CP Kestrel, not actually something that's fallen off a bit in popularity as we've moved closer to summer.
if you've only got one game, I understand wanting to play the thing that you are known for, that is your signature hero, and that's what Hyde is doing right here. Kestrel is the hero that he made a name for himself for, he's known for. I know Suijay, one of our analysts, always talks about the fact that he has, he's in contention for maybe the best Kestrel in all of North America.
Well, and I like the fact that they pick it up to the extent that we talked about how do we stave off early aggression. Kestrel's one of those heroes that can easily do enough damage early to push your enemy out, but the contrary, if she doesn't get ahead, she is not very good going into the mid and late game. So high risk, high reward coming from Tempo.
Also, it's very skill intensive playing Kestrel into a glaive, because Afterburn, if you don't get your active camo down and prepped and manage to hit him while he's coming towards you, is going to land and knock you very far away from the areas you want to fight in. Because Kestrel, she lays down these traps that if she shoots, stun enemies inside of them, and if she's displaced from that area, she doesn't have the same control.
Well, it's one of the benefits of putting Glaive in the captain position too, because since he's not one of the carry or jungler, it means his afterburns, when he dives in, they can't focus him. They can't spend a lot of time thinking about the Glaive because Blackfeather, Baron are still around.
All right, well, the battle has begun. It is game 1 at the Mobile Masters Invitational. Here we've got ROX Armada versus Tempo Storm. ROX Armada, the former world champions. Can they run the entire gauntlet here? Right now, we've got both of these teams just moving up, trying to get some vision down and contest the early Treant.
Yeah, I like the fact that we do see Tempo going in here looking for invade opportunity. They know Baron is not going to be very good at stopping any kind of invade, but ROX playing it safe here, not trying to contest and lose their life. Little afterburn there, get him out of harm's way. Something to note as well is we do have double contract starts here for Ingenious, so he does have Dragon Blood and Iron Guard contract, which is going to give him some extra burst damage on the attack and also a little healing from last hits in lane.
Yeah, it's a good spot to be in. Selena has made his way back up to the lane now, actually backed up by Lost Boy Top. He might be looking to try and set up an Impale onto Druid, but he's not going to be able to find it. Selena actually gets forced back into the bush there. He's going to be farmed safely by his turret.
Yeah, something that a lot of teams do as well is they tend to not take their front doubles and just look for opportunities to take the major camps in the jungle. This is becoming kind of more of a popular strategy, but if you don't pay attention to it enough, if you let the enemy team grab those fronts a couple of times, it does add up. It will end up being a little bit of gold towards your items, but most important in the early game is that experience.
Yeah, experience is very important because it lets you get more ability points early, which means you have access to more of your tools to deal with your opponents. So far, things, though, are actually fairly even. In fact, Tempo Storm, having taken an early jungle camp away from ROX Armada and the Treant, do have a bit of a gold advantage. If they get a second Treant here, that would be very nice, but Mango wants it.
He gets it.
He finds it. Mango just walks up and takes the Elder Treant away from Tempo Storm. With the heal, he actually manages to find some pressure as well. Lost Boy cannot get an Impale back, so Mango doesn't even get punished.
I love the amounts of just power and motivation players have whenever they make a steal on the Elder or one of the healing camps, because it's so powerful early game. The healing is so impressive that you really can look to trade in a 1v2 situation. Mango feeling really good about that pickup. We like to see these back timings too. Not only are they getting some steals, but Baron is now sharing farm. He's already back to match Vox's back timing. So really important in Vainglory. Don't want to get caught on the map with too much gold in your pocket. You want to keep spending as frequently as you can.
Yeah, and on that note, Selena probably wants to go spend sometime soon, sitting on nearly 1,000 gold along with Druid. Whichever one buys first has the advantage in any fights that they initiate early on here, which Tempo Storm, I mean, as their name suggests, they want to push the tempo in this game, given the compositions that we're seeing. So they should definitely try and get those edges where they can. Mango not going to find another Treant this time. Tempo Storm, I'm very impressed by how they are just timing this again and again, hitting it on respawn, and they've actually picked up 2 out of 3. They nearly got 3 out of 3 by 3 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, there's still an opportunity even to potentially get one more here if they're timing it just correctly enough. But I mean, this is respect coming from ROX with this early game Kestrel. If you trade and lose the trade, he's going in for on point. He's just looking for the safe steal. Dying this early is very bad for Blackfeather, it's very bad for Kestrel. So both teams playing a little bit passive, but that's what they need to do. They're trying to get some major items stacked up on their carries. We actually see Druid did go back and shop. Doesn't look like he's going for Tension Bow first. It's not. Nothing's going to happen, though.
Giving it a bit of a love tap, but it's hard to set up a fight unless you're going to be knocking one of your enemies into your team there. So you can see ROX ARMADA does have to back away. The onus, I think, is definitely on Tempo Storm, though, to make more of the early game movements. You've got to remember, ROX ARMADA, they've got a Baron on their lineup, and yes, we talked in the pregame about it being able to win early, but that's not really the expectation. That's not what the hero excels at. It excels at playing in the late game.
Yeah, it definitely does, and we already see Druid with a pretty significant farm advantage over Selena here, so he's going to be able to pick up the Sorrow Blade 4 minutes, 20 seconds in, has boots and armor, so he's in a really good spot to make this quote-unquote late-game pick, somewhat of a mid-game powerhouse. So we talked about this, Druid, he knows how to farm, he knows how to get CS, when to back, when to be in lane, and this is part of the advantage. If you can get your offensive items quicker, you can close the gap on how long it takes you to scale on some of these power picks.
It's really interesting as well. He's actually accelerating Mango by having Ingenious freeze the wave, and then Druid is just going down and dealing damage to the back Treant before he comes up and farms. I've not seen teams do that a great deal, but it is going to help Mango, who had a Treant stolen away early, actually accelerate a little bit here.
I mean, when you talk about maximizing efficiency in this game, those are the things that separate the best from just the good, right? We're looking at teams that are trying to win. They're going to maximize every chance they get. It looks like we might actually be setting up for a bit of an altercation here, but Drew is just going to take a bit of damage and back out.
You know, Sweet is always talking about how it's kind of dicey fighting in a choke point against a Kestrel and a Lance, and that's exactly what ROX did. You can see the pressure that Tempo Storm is laying down onto them as a result of that, somewhat of a mispositioning error coming out of ROX. Now, they're going to have to deal with some pressure onto the turret here. Tempo Storm, they definitely want to set the pace as a very aggressive one already.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that Tempo knows that their win condition is around this point of the game where ROX cannot really trade back, so they're going to push 2 waves into the turret. They're going to get rotation priority on this. One on point almost steals it away, but this is where ROX now kind of becomes a little bit weaker again as Tempo now moves towards the 6-minute point. We do have Poison Shiv on Selena. This is that item we talked about. It's what gives Vox so much attack speed early, makes him some formidable, and then of course we talk about once again this Glaive waiting on Ingenious to really show up and make that first move.
And you know, I think it's interesting, ever since 4 minutes where the jungle shop spawns, we've been seeing a big difference in what Tempo Storm's been able to accomplish actually, because when the Treant was there, they had an objective that they could leverage and make ROX ARMADA respect. Now, one time it backfired, yes, the steal went across, but overall, you know, it's not a bad spot for Tempo Storm earlier than this. Now that they don't have that objective, they're trying to force turrets.
Oh,
but that's going to be a knockback, Ingenious. He finds a knock onto Hyde. Hyde's going to have to back away here. Good heal coming out of his teammate, but Hyde is going to go down. Druid has so much damage already. 2 kills for ROX ARMADA. The world champions making a statement.
Hey, Jackson, I just asked, when is Ingenious going to make the first move on this Glaive? Because he is the captain. We go in.
Oh, Selena. He's going to get spotted out there. Druid's got the damage yet again, and Ingenious actually gets out of range of the turret, so he doesn't even go down. 3 kills picked up for ROX ARMADA. Tempo Storm losing a lot of early game pressure as a result.
This is actually pretty disastrous for Tempo Storm because they're not the best scaling composition other than Vox. And when you have Baron picking up 2 kills already, Mango with the Shatterglass and 1 kill on himself, this is a later game composition that's already taking up steam. It looks like they're stealing the tempo away from Tempo Storm.
They are indeed, and Hyde, you know, I think we've got to talk about him real quick. He's doing some good damage. That one shot, for example, was quite a lot. Also, he doesn't find any pale, but Hyde, he does not have 1 tier 3 item complete yet, and as a result, I think his damage output is not quite where he would like it to be. What I do think is good is that he's actually got a lot of energy regeneration, which is going to help when he's trying to siege these turrets.
Yeah, I think that's, but you got to siege them correctly. Like, so the idea was, we go for the Afterburn.
Ingenious knew Hyde was there. Hyde, look at him evaporate. Druid wants more, though. Thinking about going in on a Lost Boy here. A slow out of Mango is not quite enough. They can't engage fully, although Druid walks in. Look at him, half-helping Selena immediately. A great impale. The turnaround kill from Tempo Storm. Selena, don't look at the no! He goes down. Druid finds one more. Druid is a monster.
Oh, almost an ace, but Kestrel was back up. Druid looking for every opportunity he can to jump in, but I have to say, once again, we talk about this guy, Ingenious. What's he going to be doing? And as he finds the next Afterburn, so critical on Glaive. The mechanic to be able to instantly punt someone in the direction you want at max Afterburn range is not easy. You have to know exactly perfect positioning, perfect landing on your Afterburn, and he gets Hyde again. So Hyde really has to respect this glaive pick a little bit more.
Yeah, that was a little bit overly aggressive from Hyde, especially when flares are being kept on Ingenious. He's got 5 in his inventory, if I see that correctly right now. So he's always going to be making sure that he can spot out Hyde. Hyde's not going to be able to get away quickly enough unless he has very fast reactions.
Yeah, this next team fight's going to be really painful for Tempo Storm because Druid has finished Tenshinbo and now Tyrant's Monocle. We're looking at a 3-item Baron at 9.5 minutes into the game. I don't actually think I've seen this other than the one time we talked about where Starting All Over did on One Hammer's game last season. Druid is just a casual 340 damage to Selena as he goes up there.
And Selena, I mean, I like that he's gone for an infusion here because I think if he loses one more fight, the game is close to over anyway, and he needs to do something. But, oh, he's gone! He's gone already! Ingenious just walks in and takes him down. Look at the damage onto Hyde just from that nuke. This is a bad situation. He might be able to get out of here just based on the length of his stealth, though. Oh, Ingenious. Is he going to spice spots him out? Afterburn is going to be up. He finds him. Hyde. Yeah, he's going down. That is another set of kills for ROX Armada. 8-1. They are just dominating Tempo Storm right now.
I mean, we heard ROX had picked up a new captain, but maybe we misheard. Is this the third carry? I'm not really sure. I mean, this Ingenious is not only making Afterburn punt plays, he's killing Fox under turret. He's taking out Hyde on the backline while his team pushes up the wave, takes down the objective. What plays from this guy?
Absolutely. Very impressive stuff here from Ingenious in his inaugural live game. Hyde, though, you know, it's tough. It's really tough to play into glaive. We mentioned it earlier on. He is one of the best Kestrel players in North America, but still, very, very tough matchup.
I mean, the matchup is something they chose, though. I mean, glaive was already on the board. Tempo Storm picked this Kestrel, so I can't feel too bad for them because of the decision. We did talk about other picks like Taka potentially giving them some flexibility on dodging out that, but this early game has really slipped away from Tempo. We're looking at a 5,000 gold lead, or just right around that at 11 minutes. And of course, Druid still farming, still doing Druid things, getting closer and closer to that 4th offensive item, which most likely will be another Monocle.
Yeah, that seems pretty likely here. And ROX Armada are starting to have enough pressure to move up and actually siege some turrets. Mango does take a pretty meaty one-shot, one-kill to the face, though.
Yeah. He did get it on point, which actually took a little bit of the more damage off, so it would have been even worse. But,
yeah, and he's got shielding, too. I mean, it speaks to the damage that Hyde is doing right now. I do think that if Hyde can find one of those one-shots and actually translate that into an initiation, maybe you burst someone down quickly enough. Selena does have 2 items now, but here comes that nuke. Hyde caught on the edge of it, as is Selena. It's actually quite an effective use of Druid's ultimate there.
Yeah, just making them go back towards their turret, really kind of retreating. If they step forward, they take ion cannon damage, which is not ideal. Even from a weapon power standpoint, it does a lot. But now Druid actually picking up the tornado trigger instead, looking for a little bit of attack speed here as they look to siege this next turret.
Even a slight misposition from Selena ends very badly, as Mango just has so much damage on the on-point right now. He's actually gone for a Broken Myth 2nd item, which I quite like. You know, he's in such a strong position. Why not go for the aggressive snowball-y item? Lost Boy wants to stop this tower from going down, but I don't think you're saving the turret here.
Yeah, don't think the turret is going to last through this siege here. So once again, just continuing to farm up, continuing to push down objectives, expanding that gold lead, looking closer and closer to close this game out as early as possible. But Selena only sitting on 2 completed offensive items, opting for Metal Jacket, meaning going to have less damage coming into the fight. Druid sitting on 4. You've got to be careful. If he gets actually 1 jump jet double auto onto Kestrel, that might be all it takes to kill her instantly.
I'm pretty sure it is. I mean, Hyde has literally no defense. You can see he doesn't quite do as much damage to Ingenious there. Ion Cannon dropped top. Not going to get connected by that one, but Selena takes a lot of damage just from basic attacks.
I mean, that's just 1 set of jump jet damage there. Once again, looking to siege this turret. Looks like they're probably going to get it.
Oh, that is going to be a root onto Ingenious, but again, I mean, it's so hard for Tempo Storm to pull the trigger on the follow-up. Druid has been burst down a little bit. You see Hyde trying to walk up and find the damage, but he only lands 1 of those glimmer shots. Not quite going to be enough.
I like the fact that Ingenious is also holding his afterburns. A lot of times teams with a lead will look to force things under this choke point turret, and it's very dangerous. I would ideally think that if Armada would have focused a little bit more on objective damage, they probably could have taken it there, but the fact that they're playing so passive, they're still respecting tempo at this choke, I think that's smart. You cannot give free kills over at this point. The bounties are way too high. That's too much gold swing advantage if anybody picks a kill up on tempo.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Tempo Storm trying to find any way back into this game. Fuji, what is the play here? Is it just getting good vision or not getting jumped on by Druid? Selena takes a ton of damage there. Lost Boy's in a really dicey position too. Silent back jump up from Selena. Whoa! Druid on the point that he's standing. He just goes for that jump jets to immediately get a bonus attack. Nearly takes down Lost Boy. I mean, the splash damage nearly took down Selena, for goodness sakes. ROX Armada, this is why they are a team to be feared.
I mean, this is why you pick this Baron with the composition that allows you to have a lot of distraction. If you can farm effectively and get to that mid game with 3 items close to 10 minutes, there's not a lot an enemy team can do. The splash damage is too high. If you invest in metal jackets like Tempo Storm has done, it lowers your potential out damage. They're just going for Lost Boy now.
Yeah, Lost Boy, the main target here, he is quite tanky, so maybe if he can buy enough time for his team to get here, they can do something. Selena wants to go in, but Druid is there with a ton of damage. Mango on the back line as well, jumping over the wall. He's trying to get in, hide. He can't take him down. Mango is going to be able to stay alive with Druid picking up 2 more kills. Scout Trap, not quite going to do it. Not quite. The Lost Boy, he is definitely being hunted down here. They know exactly where he's going. He's got nowhere to run. Likely going to be the kill. Ingenious. Does he spot him? Oh, he gets him. Lost Boy Toff can't get out of there. And actually, I think, yeah, he's not going to get over. Druid jumps over the wall thinking he's going to make it. Kraken
anticipates that combat roll.
Yeah, Kraken going to be taken here by ROX Armada. They are 11-1. They have almost a 10,000 gold lead. Tempo Storm are really scraping the bottom of the barrel here.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at Tempo Storm trying to find opportunities to go in, but the biggest issue is they're just too split on their decision-making right now. They needed to find a way to get to Druid earlier in this match, try to find a way to get damage onto him, but like we talked about, they didn't do anything that could dive the backline, so this Kestrel trying to get through the Black Feather, getting damage through the glaive is just not working.
All right, ROX Armada, how do they just play this to make sure they tie any loose ends up? They just play it safe and lock in the win.
I definitely think at this point they have 2 options. They can just let the Kraken go all the way to the turret, use Ion Cannon for some zoning, go for objective damage, but I don't know, knowing ROX, these guys like to scrape. They might want one more team fight. They'll probably go for kills here before the Kraken even takes down the second base turret.
Yeah, Ingenious has certainly shown a propensity for going aggressive this game, and if he finds Hyde here, for example, could be an opportunity. Hyde, he's standing right in the middle of that one. Half health before the fight even starts. Kraken is there, already dealing damage onto the turret. Selena does not. Oh, he does quite just
they
land
get the
that
afterburn,
silence, but they find the afterburn onto him. Selena, he's not getting out of there. Druid with the kill. He wants more. Lost Boys rooted in place. Druid going for Hyde. Double attack is going to find it. Druid finds a double kill. ROX Armada take down Tempo Storm in game 1 of the Gauntlet.
A 1,400 damage combo from both autos there coming out of Druid to take Hyde down as he tries so desperately to walk into the base. ROX showing up today at this tournament, Jackson, saying we're here to win.
They absolutely did, and I mean, this is the ROX Armada a lot of us remember from Worlds. Very aggressive. They found one mistake and just capitalized on it. Druid is an absolute beast. This guy, I don't know if anyone can really deal with him properly.
I mean, it's so hard to deal with somebody who not only farms efficiently, but their rotations are strategic. Like, the thing that makes ROX #1 is they maximize every opportunity they see for extra ambient gold, their rotation to go back home, to come out, help Mango farm like we talked about. And then, of course, Ingenious, he's not slacking as captain. He knows when to go up and stop and stall the wave. His afterburns were on point. Like, this guy really showed up for his first live stage performance.
It's very true. And Mango, he was just the rock, right? Like, he was playing very solidly. He was constantly, aggressing and getting some good poke damage in with the on points. That was what allowed for some of the more aggressive moves out of Ingenious, for example, because you can't just go in before any damage is dealt. It's a little bit too risky sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like the fact that Mango wasn't afraid to be that backline distraction. Even as CP Blackfeather, you typically don't build a lot of defense early game. So as he's going in, being the distraction on the backline, Drew is just getting a lot of free double shots off coming from those rockets. So much damage. I'm still so impressed. I mean, look at this, 208 CS in 17 minutes. I mean, they weren't even hyper farming this guy all game. He was just getting all jungle, all
Mango
lane.
farm.
I know.
He was helping Mango last hit. This doesn't make any sense. Druid, I don't know how you do it. Very impressive stuff. That was an impressive first showing for ROX Armada as a whole, but they've got a long way to go if they want to keep all the way to the end of this gauntlet. They've got to beat every single team. They can't afford to lose a single matchup. And next up, they face Tribe, who are, of course, very strong opponents, too. Also, they do get money for every win that they get, and they managed to lock in $3,000 for picking up that first win against Tempo Storm.
Not bad for a 18-minute game there. I like the fact that they're able to really like dig in, and I like the fact that they were respecting them, right? So even though that they had the upper hand, didn't shy away.
All right, you can see here our Amazon Fire Vainglory Gauntlet. We've got ROX Armada against Tribe Gaming next. $3,000 on the line per win for these teams. So you can imagine ROX Armada definitely wants to take every single win here. Against Tribe, is there anything we're expecting especially here?
I definitely think Tribe, it's an uphill battle, right? When we look at Tempo Storm, we look at Tribe, these are the two teams that perhaps would be the easier teams for ROX to go up against in the tournament. So I think for Tribe, they're just looking to show up today. Mixi is new as their carry, so they're kind of, this is their first foray on the live stage with their new lineup. So it's just testing their mettle at this point.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting one. ROX Armada, they're warmed up as well, which is definitely something to keep in mind. I'm excited to see how they're going to be able to do. We're going to be right back with more Vainglory Gauntlet action. Wants to go in, but Druid is there.
My name is Bradley Myers, and I play Vainglory for NRG. When I first downloaded Vainglory in early 2015, I just saw it on the App Store and I thought, oh, this looks pretty cool, maybe I'll try it out. Being picked up by NRG is definitely awesome. I know a lot of people inside of Vainglory that have already been acquired from different teams,